Hey folks, do you like watching the Dice Tower? We have a deal for you. You can give us $10 and I'll give you $1 back every month. Forever. Now how am I going to do that? Well, I'm going to do that because in a few months I'll ask more people for $10 because how am I going to pay you? So I need to get more money from more people. And then I'll offer them, so I'll go to someone and say, give me $20 and I'll give you $2 for the rest of my life every month.
This sounds like Social Security, basically.
This is a Ponzi scheme. We're not doing it because they are quite illegal.
Unless it's Social Security.
Anyway, Ponzi scheme. This is a game in which you are running one of these illegal Ponzi schemes, where you are basically selling.
More and more to people, and then using.
But you're not actually selling them anything.
And then you're giving away money to other people.
Yes. Here's how it plays. I'm going to start by explaining how you get points in this game. There are different industries that you're going to be getting tiles for, and these industries are going to be worth points at the end of the game. There's 4 different industries, wheat, and who cares, they're just different colors. And so one of them is going to be worth 1 point, but then if you have 2 of them, they're going to be worth 3 points, and then if you have 3 of them, they're going to be worth 6 points, 4, 10. So the more you have of these, the more points you're going to get. You also will get points for any money you have left over at the end of the game, unless you're playing the advanced version in which you can buy these luxury tiles which are worth points. Now, when you're buying tiles, or whether you know, at the end of the game, if you have more than $96, you will get 4 points. So that's not a huge difference in how the game plays, but the game is going to play the same. We have a board here, and there's 3 rows in the board. And the order of the cards in each row doesn't matter. So these are the starting cards that are out here. Each player is going to have this in front of them. This card's here kind of just as a placeholder to show where you start. And on a player's turn, so there's going to be rounds of the game, and on a player's turn, the first thing they're going to do is they get to take one of these tiles here. So they pick a tile. So let's say I take this one. You're going to put that tile in front of you. Everyone can see how many of that tile you have. Players have a shield, but the only thing the shield does is keep your money hidden. When you take a tile, you then must take a card from one of these rows, depending on how many of that tile you've taken. So if it's your first tile, you take a card from the top row. If it's your second tile, you take a card from the second row. And if there's a third tile, you take it from the third row. You cannot take a 4th tile of any row. So let's say it's the first one. I will take this card. I'm going to look at the bottom of the card here and notice that it says 5. So on my wheel, I'm going to put it next to the number 5. The big number is how much money I will get. So I'm going to get $10 here that I'm going to put behind my shield, and that's secret money that I have. Once I do that, we'll draw a new card from the deck to take the place of this. This one happens to be 75. So then you simply bring down the lowest number, moves to the row above it, and 75 goes in the bottom row. And then the next person might do that. Take a card. So each person's going to take a card. Now, after that happens, each player has a chance to make a secret offer to another player. When that happens, you'll get the envelope here. And you can only do that if you both have one of the same. So let's say I have a green and my opponent has a green, and I want their green. So what I'll do is I'll make them an offer. Maybe I'll offer them 10. Why not? So I'll offer them 10. Whatever I put in here is secret. No other player can see it. They're going to get it, and they'll look at the amount I offer them. They can either accept that offer, in which case they give me the tile, or they can put $10 of their own back in the envelope, matching whatever I put in there, give it to me, and then I have to give them my tile. No matter what happens, somebody's giving somebody else a tile when this happens. And this is the only way that you can get more than 3 tiles of a color. So each player that has a chance to do that. You do not have to do that. Once that's done, then we're going to pass the start player marker. And the start player has a chance to kill any card out there that they want. So let's say they get rid of that one. And then we add in a 40, which is going to go in the bottom row. Then the wheels, this here, is going to turn 1 clockwise. And it's going to turn, and if it ever hits these cards, you're going to have to pay back this much money. So you see you got $10, but you're going to have to pay back 9 in 5 turns. That's an 18% interest. That number is just kind of minor. And then once you pay it, then you'll place it at the 5, wherever the 5 is again. But as you see, if I take this card here, I get $75, but I'm going to have to pay back $134 in 3 turns. And then I might take this card, which gives me 16, but I have to pay back 13 in 4 turns, depending on where I'm at. And in the deck, the numbers are really big or small. Now you notice some of these cards are red. That's a bull market. If there's ever more cards in the middle at the end of a round of a bull market than there are a number of players, then this wheel is going to spin twice. Now, I'm not much of a mathematician per se, but I think all of us can pretty much agree that if you're borrowing 80 and paying back 144 in 3 turns, the only way that you're going to stay ahead of that is to continue taking more and more money. And that's really what's going to happen. Players are going to continue to take more and more money, but eventually someone is going to go bankrupt. When that happens, the game will immediately end. Any player or players who have gone bankrupt are out of the game. Everybody else is going to get points for the tiles that they have, plus points for however much leftover money they have, and whoever has the most points is the winner. Okay, now this game is a unique game. Okay, I don't know any other game that I've ever played like this. You are essentially knowing you are going to go bankrupt. However, if someone else goes bankrupt before you, then you win. Then you don't lose.
You've saved yourself from being.
But if you played this like solitaire, you would go bankrupt.
Yes.
Right? It's not possible to stay afloat. You will never get enough money to stay afloat forever. You eventually will collapse.
Yes, which is why it's not a solitaire game.
No, and it's not even a 2-player game. It's for 3 to 5 players. And it definitely is an intriguing game. It's kind of weird that you have these shields with paper money behind them that you are, and you actually, in many games like where we have money, I'll say, what's the point of these shields? Jason can just count all the money that people are getting, but you don't know that the deals people make back and forth, you don't know what money has occurred there.
That wallet, the wallet that you pass, when you put money in that wallet and you pass it to someone else and either they take the money or they take a stock, is genius.
I'm really conflicted about that wallet, though.
It's genius. Like, do you put in 5 and then hope they take it? Or do you put in 15 and force them to take it? Or do you put in 30 and really force them to take it? And what if they don't? Then they might have more money and they could put in money and the money's going around that table and you don't know because you still have to pay off your Ponzi's. Because if you don't pay off your Ponzi's, you go bankrupt. It's so intriguing. That wallet makes this game.
Well, right. That wallet is a very intriguing decision. And I've actually seen mechanisms like that before in a game. Not usually where they're secret, but we're like, hey, I'll give you $10 and I buy yours, or no, you give me that money and then you buy mine. So it's an interesting idea. Component-wise, I really hate paper money. And this game is no exception because you're passing money all over the place. Unfortunately, the paper money really works with that wallet. Yes. That wallet and the paper money, I don't know how you would do it if you had coins. I think you'd have to put them in a bag or something. The wallet just, it feels like, and you get the wallet and you get it and you like open it. Oh. That's fun thematically. But the theming, like all the little tiles, there's no theming. It's like, I want a yellow tile, I want a green tile, whatever.
Yeah.
Now, I think there's 2 problems with this game. All right. The first problem is one that you don't have a problem with, but some people will, and that is, unless you really play this game a lot and get really good at it, you're going to really have no idea what anything is worth. It's really difficult. Like if I want to take a green property from you, I don't know, is it worth 10? Is it worth 30? Is it worth 17? I don't know. And it's kind of a meta thing because you're feeling it out in the game.
Yes.
But like if you get someone and they're like, yes, I'll pay you that money, you're like, oh, well, obviously I offered too cheap of something. Or if they just take the money, you're like, oh, was that too much? It can be really difficult, I think. I know you like it, right? I know you love that, but you gotta admit that there's gonna be, I would say most people would not, because it's a difficult concept to understand.
Well, it is, but that's part of the game. And I love games that do that. I know we kind of differ on that, but I love games where the values change based on what the table is doing. And the last game I played of it, someone gave me 15 for something, and then I gave the next person 10 for something, and I made $5 in the process because I knew that he gave me 15. I was like, I made it seem like he didn't give me much, and then I passed 10 along, and I made $5, and I got the same stock back. And you can do things like that in this game because everything's blind, and you really, you have to feel the table. Sometimes you give a little more because then everyone thinks you're giving a lot, and one guy goes, oh, look at that, and act surprised when you give them 20, and then the next time you give the next person 5, and they're like, they think that the other guy was happy about 5, and really you gave him 20.
But it does give the game a bit of, it's a bit fragile because of that. Because a player who's not very good and who makes foolish decisions, I mean, technically all your decisions are foolish, but who makes really foolish decisions, they could end the game prematurely. It could end really fast if someone just makes dumb choices.
Yeah, if you give all your money in the wallet and someone takes
Not just even all your money, but you're like, oh no, that's coming up in like 2 turns and I don't have the money for it. Or if there's a bull market and it moves twice, you really can get messed over.
Yes.
So that's my one problem with the game. The other problem with the game is theming. Now, don't get me wrong. I think this game is a good theming of the Ponzi scheme. It makes a lot of sense. But you know what this game feels like a bit? It feels like back when I was more foolish with my money and I had credit cards, right? And so like, the payments, I'm like, oh, the payments are so high. So you get another credit card to pay off this credit card. Yes. And that's kind of like what this game feels like. But you know, in real life, that's a horrible thing. It's not fun to keep borrowing money to stay afloat. So I think some people are going to hate the game based on that theme because it really does feel like you're like, oh, I need money here, I need money here. And I know that's how Ponzi schemes work.
No, but I think the theming is great in this. Like, both of your negatives we disagree with because I think the theming is great. I love the fact that you've taken this money and promised to pay back this money to other people, and now you don't have enough money, so you need to take more money and then promise to other people to pay back the first people, and then you need to take more money to pay back the second people.
That's not a fun feeling. It's like this feeling of hopelessness. Like, I'm going to go bankrupt.
No, but you're trying to keep above water and you're not going bankrupt. You have to work hard to not go bankrupt. But
that's something that many, many people deal with every day where they're sitting there with their bills trying not to go under. This game feels like you're paying the bills in a lot of ways. I understand it's a cool game. And unless you guys get confused, I actually like the game. But I could see how the theme could turn people off.
I guess I can see how the theme could turn people off, but I don't really think so. I mean, when you play it, you go into it knowing this is a game and I know that it's about money and wheeling and dealing and knowing that you could go bankrupt, and you just have to go in with the mindset of, hey, I know I'm going to wheel and deal and I got to keep making money in order to pay off the rest of the money that I owe, and you just have to go in with the concept that you're going to be doing that, and hey, this money will pay for this, and this money will pay for this, and hey, if I could snag a stock for this, great. Oh, I need money. Hopefully he gives me a lot when he wants to buy my stock, because then I'll get a lot of money, which I need to pay off these things. And I think it is very thematic, very fits it. It's one of the best economic games I've played. I can't think of an economic game that I would rate higher than this. This might be the best economic game out there, or one of the best economic games out there.
All right. Well, I wasn't expecting that. I certainly won't argue that this is an economic game. It's hard for me to do the math in this game, and I'm a guy who likes math. But like, for example, I'm gonna pull out some cards here because these cards are just insane. Like, which of these is better? Okay, let me ask you this: $41, and in 3 turns you got to pay back 46, or $50, and in 4 turns you got to pay back 93.
Well, you can tell because there's little values right here. 46% interest rate versus 37%. So this one's a better one.
I understand that.
But this one gives you more money.
But this one gives you 9 more dollars that might matter.
So and look at those red ones. They're even crazier ones.
Yeah, like this one here. $67, but in 3 turns pay 118.
Which is 58% interest rate.
Well, here's a 60% one.
Interest. The interest rates go up, but you're getting more money. And the whole concept of the game is you want to be someone is going to go bankrupt because that's how it ends the game. You want to be the person who doesn't go bankrupt.
Yeah, it's impossible. Like I said, yeah, we said it's impossible for you not to go bankrupt in this game. It's going to happen.
Yes.
I think 60% is the highest I've seen in here. Still, that's ridiculous.
But it goes in value order. So the lower number cards that come out at the top are the ones that have the lower interest.
I know, but after a while, suddenly you're like, oh no.
I need another red one.
I need $50 right now. Where's $50? There's $50. Give it to me.
I don't care if I have to pay 92 in 3 turns.
Okay, so what's your awesomeness rating for this?
On this one, I like it. I like games where you could set your values. I like games where you're blindly buying things. And I give it an awesomest rating of 9. I think this is, like I said, one of the best economic games ever made. And it's one that I'm glad finally came out in America. We were talking about this game for a while, and finally Tasty Minstrel put it out in America, and this game is worth it. If you're looking for an economic game, if you don't mind some of the things that Tom has negatives about, this one is awesomest rating of 9, one of the best economic games ever.
All right, so we're gonna have a slight disagreement here. For me, this one is a 6. I don't dislike the game. I'll gladly play it, but my problem is that I hate the theming of it. I hate that feeling of treading water trying to survive. That's just not me in board games as much. I would like to see a board game where I'm like, ooh, how well will I do? Going bankrupt in a board game is a bad thing for me. But also I think that it's you have to really sit there and concentrate. I mean, you cannot like not think at all. You have to like be thinking every moment of this game. And every dollar counts. And if you make one mistake, this is a game where a single mistake can lose you the whole game.
Yep.
That's fine, but you need to know what you're getting in for. So Ponzi Scheme, I give it a lot of points for creativity, a lot of points for a unique theme, and I know some people are going to love it. I do assume most people will not. I really think that's true.
I disagree. I mean,
you think most people will like this game?
I watched this playing at Board Game Geek
for
2 years now.
That's a very specific crowd of people there. I'm telling you, most people are not going to enjoy this. It's just not because it's a bad game, but I just don't think that whole thing, get money before you go bankrupt, is just not going to appeal to a lot of people. But we'll see.
We'll see.
Prove me wrong. I'm okay with that.
Trust me. If you like economic games, trust me on this one.
Well, that's Ponzi Scheme.
Thanks so much for watching the Dice Tower videos. Find more great videos and reviews, as well as our top-rated audio podcast at Dicetower.com. You can also find other great shows at DicetowerNetwork.com. I'm Eric Summerer, and you've been watching The Dice Tower. The Dice Tower is sponsored by Cool Stuff Inc., where you can find great games for great prices. Cool stuff in stock. Check them out at CoolStuffInc.com.